So I have great news. We're finally back. I can't tell you how much I appreciate everybody's patience through COVID here. We definitely did not intend on taking a 3-month break, but our whole goal here while we're investigating is to actually go to these communities, to talk to the people, to look them in the eye, and to understand how they've got the information or come to the conclusions that they've come to. And we really just did not feel that we could do that in a proper way during COVID. We wanted to make sure other people felt safe, obviously keeping our team safe as well. So we're so happy to be back. We have started investigating again, obviously being very careful, and we're excited to bring you episode 11, which will start very soon. So bear with me for 2 seconds. But I just wanted to tell you during this break, we did keep very busy, and we built an entire website called Ashes to Ash TV, which is pretty obvious, ASHESTOASH.TV.com. We'd love for you to subscribe. Of course, the show will always be free. The reason we keep it free is because we always want people to be able to watch it and send us tips, or if they're just watching it because they're curious, that's fine too. But the way we get these tips in and the way we're able to solve these crimes is by getting these tips. So it's really important, and we'll always keep the episodes for free. But if you want to see an episode early, you can do that by becoming a subscriber. So there's 2 tiers. Tier 1, you get it 3 days early, and Tier 2, you get it 7 days early. So you can watch the episode an entire week early if you want. So it's just like a little bonus for helping us out. If you subscribe, the money just goes back into the show and solving these crimes. This isn't something we're making money off of. We're just basically putting the money back towards where we stay, how we travel, stuff like that. So if you do choose to subscribe, it will just go back into solving crimes. So if you're interested in that, we would of course love any support we can get. If you decide to subscribe too, there's some other cool bonuses. We have some merchandise that will be available in the next week or two. If you've already subscribed, don't worry, the merchandise is coming. You do get discounts on that merchandise, so that's kind of a cool thing. You can also just purchase the merchandise also at full price and not subscribe, so you have that right also. For the subscribers, we're going to do some uncut footage, so basically you'll get to see some of the interviews without any edits to them. So if you're a sleuth or want to see exactly all the questions we ask someone, we'll start releasing some of those episodes. And the cool thing is if you become a subscriber and there's a certain interview you'd like to see the whole interview for, just send me a note and maybe we can make that as one of our uncut edits that we do for you guys. Another thing you get is some special events for subscribers and some special Q&As. So those will be going on every month. We'll start those in August. So definitely looking forward to the people who have already subscribed, getting you worked into that program. Once you subscribe, it's real easy. An email will go out when a new episode's released. An email will go out when new uncut footage is coming or merchandise. So you'll be able to kind of keep up on everything. If for some reason you don't get an email, you can just go to the website, log in, and see everything right there. So we hope you subscribe, and if not, we hope you keep watching and letting us know your thoughts and giving us tips if you have them on any of the cases. Now, without further ado, because I know you guys have all been super patient for episode 11, here it is.
A child's death that has haunted the town of Pekin for the past year.
On November 18th, 13-year-old Robert B. was reported as a runaway by his mother.
However, we have been in touch with the Illinois State Police and are in the process of entering information of a missing or endangered person advisory.
And what happened to Robert B. brought people in Pekin out to search for answers themselves weekend after weekend. Thousands of leads poured into the Pekin Police Department.
The search for the teenager coming to a halt on a hot July day when his skeletal remains were found.
Since I've started this investigation, one of the main people I wanted to talk to has been Teresa Butts. And Teresa is the mother of Christopher Butts, who was friends with Bonzai. And Bonzai used to sleep at their house all the time. And he even slept there the night before he disappeared. So they've been someone I've tried to contact multiple times through multiple different avenues, and I've never had success in actually talking to Teresa. So that was kind of frustrating for me for a little bit.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 309 is not available. At the tone, Please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey Teresa, this is Ash with Ashes to Ashes TV doing the documentary series on Bonzai. If you don't mind giving me a ring back, I would love to talk to you. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. Then all of a sudden one day I got Facebook messages from another one of Teresa's sons, and he was curious about what we were doing and wanted to know if we'd be willing to talk to Teresa. And of course we absolutely wanted to talk to her because that timeline is so important, and without her feedback, it makes it really difficult for us to confirm some of the things we've been told.
When I met them, Bonzai just attached himself to our house.
How often would he sleep at your house? Like once a week or once a month?
From the time that I met them, it started to be like an every weekend day. Then it started to be, like I said, on school nights.
Okay.
So like the 17th and the 18th, that was the first time that he actually stayed on school nights.
Oh, okay, interesting. I didn't know that. The night of the 16th, so this is 2 days before he went missing, he stayed at Teresa Butts' house?
Yeah.
And he also stayed at that house on the 17th as well?
Yep.
Okay. On the night of the 16th, were you at home or what were you doing?
The night of the 16th, we had went to Peoria. I had stayed there on the night of the 16th and the 17th. So whenever, he'd go there, I would go to Peoria because, I knew where he was at.
I wanted Bonzai to stay at my house was because as long as he was at my house, then I knew that he wasn't out stealing for his mom, or he wasn't out smoking bud, or he wasn't smoking cigarettes, or he wasn't, doing stuff that he was way too young to be doing. I wasn't really that close to Lisa.
Yeah.
I kind of took pity, Bonzai and the way he lived, and I just couldn't stand it. And my son, Christopher, has got the biggest heart, and he was the same way. Don't get me wrong, Christopher was a little bit older than Bonzai. Christopher has autism, so he's not mentally any older than what Bonzai was.
Mm-hmm.
And, all Bonzai and him did was sit around and play the Xbox. And I told Bonzai, I said, I don't have a problem with you staying on school nights either. I said, but if you're not going to go to school, then I can't have you staying here.
Robert had a history of truancy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the 17th, Bonzai didn't go to school, but he did come back to my house.
And then I got a call from his friend Peter, and he goes, I got Bonzai with me. I'm like, well, what's he doing with you? I said, he's supposed to be at the Butts house.
Yeah.
I said, take him back over there until I get back. So he ended up walking him back over to the Butts house and taking him back. I saw that. I called again. I said, is he over there now? They said, yeah. I said, do not let him leave until I get home.
Yeah.
And then I will call you when I get home to let him come home.
Do you know, was it Peter that brought him back over to your house that day, or do you know who brought him back over to your house that day?
He was out running the streets. He seen the truancy officer and the police. And when he came back to my house, he said that he had ran from them.
He ran Thursday. She was cited for truancy that day. When the truant officer and a police officer showed up in mid-afternoon at their small house on Sapp Street, and he ran.
When I told him, I said, I had called Lisa, and I told Lisa what was going on, and I told her, I said, he had just told me that he ran from the truth officer and them. I said, now, I'm telling you, if they come here to my house or they come back and ask me, and he's here, I said, I'm not lying for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Lisa, she was like, well, I don't want you to lie. She said, I want you to make him stay there until I get back into Pekin.
Okay.
And then when I get into Pekin, I will either come and pick him up or I will get a hold of you and have you send him home.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I said that was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after that, that's when Lisa had said, he couldn't stay because he didn't go to school. Well, I guess he had went home and they had talked about it, and he had begged her and begged her and begged her to come back over, and she had called me and asked me, and I told her, I said, I have no problem with him staying. I said, but if I let him stay, he has to go to school tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
I I said, because I'm not going to have the truancy officer and the police come to my house every single day that he stays because he don't want to go to school. I said, because that looks bad on me.
Oh yeah, absolutely right.
Because, you know, that he might not be my child, but he's still at my house. And if I can't get him up and make him go to school, what do I look like?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, you don't want that on your family.
Right, and like I said, my son got up every day and went to school.
We ended up by asking him, I said, why didn't you go to school? He goes, I didn't feel like it. I said, you know you're supposed to go to school every day. Well, I didn't want to. So then, probably about 6:30, he goes, Mom, can I stay the night at the Butts house again? Yeah. I said, you can only stay, again, on one condition, that you promise, Mom, that you will go to school on Friday, that you'll go to school for me. And he goes, okay, Mom, I promise. So I told him, I said, you gotta hurry up and get your stuff ready and go. I said, because you got an 8 o'clock curfew, so you gotta be inside by 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So he hurried up and went back over.
So she told him. And then I told him when he got there, I said, Bonzai, I said, I'm letting you spend the night again. I said, but the only way that you will not stay here again on a school night is if you do not get up and go to school tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was like, I'll go. I promise, I'll go. And I was like, okay, then you can spend the night.
How did Bonzai normally get to your house? You guys lived pretty close to Lisa, didn't you? Did he just walk? Or?
Well, yeah, we lived at 1000 South 3rd Street, and then she lived down the road over on the other side of Derby. He would ride his bike to my house. If he didn't ride his bike, then if Lisa was going to like Peoria, or if she was going to go hang out or do whatever, and he was going to spend the night, she would bring him in the car and drop him off.
Okay, and do you know how the night of the 17th, how she dropped him off? Do you know if he came over on his own or if she drove him, or do you not remember that? Or maybe you never knew?
No, I believe she dropped him off.
Okay.
He called my cell phone at like 11:30 at night.
Oh, wow.
Mom, go buy me a pack of cigarettes. I said, no, I'm not buying you a pack of cigarettes. He goes, fine, I'll call Dad. Mm-hmm. Dad will make you buy me a pack of cigarettes. I said, I'm not buying you a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
So he started calling me a B word and everything else and cussing me out on the phone. Then he hung up on me.
Every night when he'd stay at my house, he would call her on the phone.
Okay.
And he would, how are you doing, Mom? Good night, you know, stuff like that. On the 17th, they did get into an argument over the phone, over cigarettes. He called her and told her to bring him cigarettes, and she told him no, she was not driving all the way from Peoria to bring him cigarettes.
So you overheard that phone conversation?
Oh, yes. He was screaming at her and calling her names, and, you know, and he got off the phone, and I said, Bonzai, I said, you should not ever speak to your mother like that.
He calls me back and says, Mom, I'm sorry. I love you. And then we did our routine where I would tell him, night, night, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite.
Do you know if on the night of the 17th, after he had gotten in the argument with his mom, do you know if he ever talked to her again to apologize for that argument? Do you know if Lisa's being honest about that, or you never heard a follow-up call?
Yeah, no, he did.
Oh, he did?
Lisa actually was being honest about that.
Okay.
He did call her after I sat down and talked to him, and I told him, he was like, Bonzai, you should not ever talk to your mom like that. And so he asked me, he's like, Teresa, he said, can I use your phone so I can call my mom? And I said, yeah. So I gave him my phone again, and he called, and he said, Mom, I'm sorry for the way I just talked to you. And then he told her, he's like, I love you, good night, I'll see you tomorrow. And she said the same thing, and then he hung up, and then, like I said, he played with my sons, their Xbox, until it was time to go to bed, and then he went to bed.
Do you know what time around that second call was made?
The first one, I want to say around like 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Okay.
And then I think the second one was like more like 8:30, 9-ish,
okay,
something like that.
Okay, perfect. So they were a couple hours apart, you think?
I ended up getting a call again from the truancy officer that he didn't go to school again. So I immediately called the Butts house.
Yeah.
They said, well, we watched him walk towards the bus stop. But they lied to the police. The first time they said that they walked him to his bus stop.
Okay.
Then they flipped their story and changed it and said, oh no, we watched him walk towards that way.
I did not tell her that I walked him go to his bus stop or I walked him to his bus stop. The only thing that I told her when the truancy officer and the police came to my door and asked me if Bonzai was there, and I said no, he was supposed to be in school.
They didn't see him actually get to it or get on the bus.
Yeah, they didn't see him get on the bus. They didn't see him even get to his bus stop.
The morning of the 18th, you actually saw him before he left your house?
Yes,
Okay,
I saw
cool.
him and my son both. Because
Okay.
I woke both of them up. And I told them, I said, it's time for you guys to get ready for school. And they said, okay. So Bonzai got up, and Chris got up, my son got up, and both of them got dressed. I watched them, both of them walk out my front door.
Do you know how many blocks or how far from your house Bonzai's bus stop was?
Actually, his bus stop was right there by Beck's, which
Okay.
would have been right on Derby. From my house at 1003rd Street, you could get to Beck's within 5 minutes of walking.
Okay.
My apartment was like in the middle of 3rd Street, and Beck's was at the end of 3rd Street off on Derby.
Do you know around what time in the morning they usually left to go to the buses?
My son Christopher, I want to say he would catch him around 8.
Okay.
Or maybe it was about 8:30.
Okay.
And I think that's about the time that Bonzai would catch his. And then the next thing I know, about, like I said, it might have been about 10:30, I got the police and the truancy officer knocking on my door again. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I was like, well, he left my house to go to school.
Yeah.
I called Lisa on the phone. I said, Bonzai did not go to school again because the police and the truancy officers are standing at my front door. And she got on the phone with them. She was in Peoria.
Yeah.
And they told her that they was going to meet her at her house.
Okay, perfect. And do you know around what time the truancy officer and the cops stopped by your house?
I want to say it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Okay. So the day the truancy officer and the cops came, because they came both on the 17th and 18th, do you know if it was the same truancy officer and same cop, or can you not remember back that far?
I think it was the same truancy officer.
Okay.
I don't think it was the same police officer, but I think it was the same truancy officer that came both days.
When the truancy officer and the cop came by, did they say if he actually had gotten on the bus and then just didn't show up for school? Or they didn't say? Or you don't remember?
They didn't say. I didn't know anything about him not going to school until they come to my door on the second day. And I called Lisa and I told her, and she was supposed to meet him at her house.
The timeline's so tight on this that definitely he met with foul play at some point pretty soon on the 18th. Because if you called her at like 10:30, and then she says she didn't get back to her house until almost 3, which everyone at the Patty's house confirms.
She was there that Thursday night. Like I said, she got my house, I want to say 5:30, 6 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Because that's what time I would normally fix dinner. We had just got through eating dinner.
Yeah.
So I'm at 6. Could have been a little after 6 or whatnot.
Yeah.
And they were there all night long, up until the next day, up until, I want to say 3.
Yeah.
Because not too long after that, my youngest daughter came home from school.
So to the best of your knowledge, on the 17th, she got there between 5 and 6, and she stayed there until about 3 o'clock on the 18th. Mm-hmm. Something had to happen almost in between that time, I believe.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You told the truancy officer and the police when she talked to him, she told him she was leaving Peoria then, and she was headed home. Okay, well, now you're telling me that no one can find your child, and you wait until 3 o'clock in the afternoon to finally make it home. As soon as they got off the phone with Lisa and she told them that she was on her way from Peoria to meet her at her house, they left and went to her house. And I don't know if they just kept sitting out there waiting on her. And then the police came back to my house 4:30, 5 o'clock and asked me if I had seen him since, and I said no, I hadn't seen him since that morning. I said he didn't come back here like he usually does. And so I knew. As soon as it became that night, and no one found him or no one knew where he was, I had already had this feeling that something was wrong.
That's amazing too that they came back to your house between 4:30 and 5. It's nice to see that they were following up on everything.
Yes, and they did, and they had came back like 2 or 3 more times after that.
Yeah.
You know, to find out if I had seen him yet, or
Of course.
if anything had changed. And they wanted to question me, and they wanted to question my husband, and then they wanted to question my son.
No.
And you know, and I didn't have a problem with that, except for, you know, like I said, Christopher has autism, so when they asked if they could speak to Chris by himself, I was a little bit leery about that, but then I wasn't, because Christopher won't lie.
Yeah.
Like he cannot lie.
Absolutely.
He would tell on himself when he was little. So he cannot lie to anybody. So I didn't have a problem with that, because I knew that Christopher would tell, you know, them the truth, and he did. Christopher went out to their cruiser and he answered their questions.
Absolutely.
But I think that they thought that Christopher wasn't going to tell them with me and his dad sitting in the room.
Of course. Yeah, that makes sense.
You know
Them
what I mean?
separating them. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But Christopher told him the exact same thing that he told him when we were in the room. So I knew when no one had heard from him that late that something bad had happened, because like I said, he always would have called Lisa and at least told Lisa where he was at. The only way he wouldn't have is if he couldn't. Bonzai has always called his mom and told his mom where he was at. So when he didn't call on the 18th and she hadn't heard from him all that day and all that night, I had already knew.
Yeah.
Something bad had happened to him.
Wow.
Because that just wasn't him.
Absolutely.
That wasn't Bonzai. Something bad happened to that little boy.
Oh yeah, you were cutting. So I'm so sorry. It sounds like it's cutting out a little. So I did hear you say that you believe you know what happened, but these are your friends, so you're not really sure how to go about talking about it.
Yeah, because I know it's the truth.
So I kind of need to go back for a minute because I want you to understand how we got here. So basically, I got an email one day from a young woman, and she said, "Hello, my name is Kendra. I live in the area of Robert B., and I have collected some information on what has happened to the boy. I would really like to talk to you. It's very important. What has happened is wrong, and I've collected from a few people that are my friends the truth. You can reach me." She leaves her phone number. And so she's asking me to leave a message and that she'll return it. So I get a lot of emails like this. So although I'm always hopeful that it brings me the information that I need, I wasn't really sure how to take this. So I thought a good place to start would be to text message her at that number. So I just let her know who I was and that I was interested in speaking with her. And then she said she would give me a call around 3. Yeah, that would be good.
It's so much detail, so sorry. And then my phone don't work, so it's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we meet with you, or?
Yes, that would be better, because this is so hard to explain. You know, and I feel like crazy. I felt like crazy the last couple because of all of this.